ऐ जिंदगी के मतलब ताबा तुझे सलाम।
Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here to commemorate the greatest sacrifice that a human being has ever presented in the way of God, the Almighty. The sacrifice that Imam Hussain, the grandson of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his companions presented in the plains of Karbala in Iraq more than 1400 years ago, is remembered and commemorated all over the world, from Canada to New Zealand and from Japan to Argentina. Millions of people gather every year at the shrine of Imam Hussain during these days of Muharram to pay tribute and homage to Imam Hussain. And millions who are not able to go to Karbala commemorate this great martyrdom in their respective cities all over the world. These gatherings all over the world are a testament of the greatness of Imam Hussain to protect humanity from oppression, injustice, tyranny, and cruelty unleashed by Yazid, the ruler at that time.
We are gathered here today in Vancouver to pay tribute to Imam Hussain and his companions who stood in front of sheer brutality while fighting valiantly for the righteous cause. They were strongly outnumbered by the malicious and oppressive army of Yazid, the son of Muawiyah. Imam Hussain, his family, including his children and his companions, were surrounded in the desert of Karbala. They were deprived of water as their access to the river Furat was blocked. They were hungry and thirsty for 3 days, and yet they did not surrender for what they stood for, the message of justice and obedience to God and rejection of dictatorship and oppression. They took a stand for human rights and rule of law, which were being crushed at the whims of an inhumane scoundrel called Yazid. Ladies and gentlemen, the Battle of Karbala is unique in many ways. In this battle, goats had defeated daggers, chests have trampled spears, and the smile of a 6-month-old baby has defeated arrows.
So we have gathered here to remember this unique sacrifice. This means that we should observe this event in the same solemn spirit. Please make sure that we remain focused on the cause of the event. Our cell phones are muted and we do not laugh or talk. Please listen to what is recited and pay attention to what is being said. Please remain within the ropes of this procession and follow the instructions by the volunteers.
Now I would like to hand over the mic to Brother Hassan Amir Kazmi for a short recitation of the Holy Quran.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ذلك الذي يبشر الله عباده الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات قل لا أسألكم عليه أجرا إلا المودة في القربى.
Do righteous deeds. Say, O Muhammad, I do not ask you for this message any payment but only goodwill through kinship. And whoever commits a good deed, we will increase for him good therein. Indeed, Allah is forgiving and appreciative. And you consume inheritance, devouring it altogether. And you love wealth with immense love. No, when the earth has been leveled, pounded and crushed, and your Lord has come, and the angels rank upon rank, and brought within view that day is hell.
Imagine that this is the funeral procession of Imam Hussain that he never had. We are walking to remember our beloved Imam and his companions who gave their lives in Karbala. We will walk in sorrow and grief. We only wish we were there with Imam Hussain in the plains of Karbala so that we could sacrifice our lives supporting and protecting him against the tyrant army of Yazid bin Muawiyah. Imam Hussain once said, and I quote, "I never revolted in vain as a rebel or as a tyrant, but I rose seeking reformation for the nation of my grandfather, Muhammad, peace be upon him. I intend to enjoin good and forbid evil, to act according to the traditions of my grandfather, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and my father, Ali ibn Abi Talib."
I'll now be reciting a short poem called "The Night Before Ashura." I am thirsty, and murmurs of praises to the Lord, and see tents glowing with nur light. And from the other I hear wicked laughter and sword sharpening on hearts made of stone, and see their wretched tents ablaze in hellfire. It would be at that night before the day, when on one side horses will cool their thirst with water, and on the other the thirsty household of the Prophet.
This is a walk with Hussein. We walk in peace. We walk to honor a great man and leader named Hussein. We walk so that his life and message is never forgotten. Who is Hussein, and why are we walking to remember him? Hussein was a 7th century revolutionary leader who stood for social justice in the face of corruption and tyranny. He gave everything, his friends, family, and his own life for the dignity of his society.
Hussein ibn Ali was born in 620 AD in the city of Medina, Saudi Arabia. He came from a family renowned for their strong values of justice, charity, and peace. The family of Muhammad, the Prophet of Islam. While Muhammad preached peace, love, and harmony, and revolutionized his society, soon after his death, counter-revolutionaries took over. Just over 50 years after the death of Muhammad, the Muslim rulers were sliding into corruption under the tyrant Yazid. From the Umayyad family, Hussein, the son of Ali and the grandson of Muhammad, peace be upon him, took a stand against Yazid's evil rule.
हर्फ़े कुन के मानी पिन्हा तुझे सलाम ऐ क़ल्बो रूहे फ़ख्रे रसूलां तुझे सलाम ऐ क़ुव्वते दिले शह मर्दां तुझे सलाम शबर का दिल संभालने वाले सलाम ले ऐ फातिमा की गोद के पाले सलाम ले तशना दहन सिपाह के साला پر سلام، جلتے ہوئے خیام کے سردار پر سلام، پیاسی زباں پہ دیدہ خون بار پر سلام، مٹی بھرے ہوئے لب و رخسار پر سلام، اے نور سجدہ تہے خنجر میرا سلام، سوکھے گلے کی کٹتی رگوں پر میرا سلام، وہ جس کی ریش ہوں سے ہوئی تر اسے سلام، تڑپا کیا جو تپتی زمین پر اسے سلام، روندا گیا جو سینہ اطہر اسے سلام، تھا جو بدن درندوں کی زد پر اسے سلام، اتنی حرم کی فکر تھی جس تلخ کام کو
Nelson Mandela, the first president of the Free South Africa, also took a lesson from Imam Hussein's stand against tyranny and oppression. He said, and I quote, "I have spent more than 20 years in prison. Then on one night, I decided to surrender by signing the documents with all the terms and conditions of the government. But suddenly, I thought about Imam Hussain and the Karbala movement. Imam Hussain gave me strength to stand for the right of freedom and liberation, and I did. Imam Hussein's movement is not confined to only one nation or country or religion. His movement is universal, everlasting, and a source of inspiration for people from all religions and locations. We are walking today because Hussein's mission is our mission. We are Hussein. We stand for peace. We stand for equity and inclusion. We stand for human rights of all people. We support the rights of oppressed people. We are against colonization of Aboriginal people or suppression of freedom of expression or clampdown of minority voices. We walk with you, oh Ya Hussain. We walk with you, oh Ya Hussain.
وہ جس کی ریش ہوں سے ہوئی تر اسے سلام، تڑپا کیا جو تپتی زمین پر اسے سلام، روندا گیا جو سینہ اطہر اسے سلام، تھا جو بدن درندوں کی زد پر اسے سلام، اتنی حرم کی فکر تھی، جس تلخ کام کو تکتا تھا زیر تیغ بھی مڑ کر خیام کو، جن بیبیوں کی چھن گئی چادر انہیں سلام، نظروں کی زد پہ تھی جو کھلے سر انہیں سلام، زیب سنا تھے جو سر اطہر انہیں سلام، تھے بے کفن جو تپتی زمین پر انہیں سلام، اے چاکے زخم سینہ اکبر سلام لے، اے خون گردن علی اصغر سلام لے، درے جنہیں لگاتے تھے بدخو انہیں سلام، چہروں پا منتشر تھے جو گیسو انہیں سلام، سینوں میں کھولتے تھے جو آنسو انہیں سلام، گردن سے بندھ رہے تھے جو بازو انہیں سلام، دل میں بھڑکتے شعلوں کو جو کم نہ کر سکے، جو اپنے دل کے ٹکڑوں کا ماتم نہ کر سکے، ہم بھی شریک آپ کے غم میں ہیں یا امام، اے کاش جلد آئے کہیں وقت انتقام، آقا محاذ درد پہ ہیں آپ کے غلام، اشکوں سے لکھ رہے ہیں شہ کربلا کا نام، ہم پر یہ حق ہے فاطمہ کہ نور عین کا مولا قبول کیجیے،
Please leave space in the walkways and do not litter, and there are recycling bins just to the sides of you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here today to mourn the shahada of Imam Hussain and his companions in the plains of Karbala more than 1400 years ago. The Battle of Karbala, which lasted for less than 10 hours, has left enduring marks on the face of humanity. The events of Ashura in the 6th century and the message of Imam Hussain, which was carried forward by his great sister Sayyida Zainab, is still and will remain forever in the light of hope and guidance. It has been a source of inspiration for many around the world and many countries and many regions. Not only religious boundaries, but also has reached towards different religions as well. Now I'd like to request Sister Mahek Batul to please come and recite a short poem.
My elders, my brothers and sisters in Islam, and most importantly, all of you standing at the edges trying to figure out what's happening. Peace be upon you, or Salaam Alaikum. I want to begin by thanking everyone for coming out today to spread the message of a revolutionary leader that stood up for justice and received only backlash in return. This poem is about Hussain, that leader, and how he exists within each and every one of us, dependent on our choices. I find Hussain in every tear that flows from my eyes. I see Karbala in every land an innocent soul dies, and I find Karbala in everything. I find love and loyalty, sacrifice and a fight for equality. I could speak of bravery and strength, of a spark of hope in the darkness of death. I can spin you tales of sorrow, of success through sacrifice, but instead I want to stand here and talk about rights and making the right choices, about raising our voices, standing up for justice in more than just lip service, because Hussain's fight had just one purpose: to stand for the truth no matter the consequences, because when he saw the suppression of the freedoms of belief, religion, and expression, Hussain stood up against tyranny when he could have just let it be. If it were for the right path, then he would die with his head held up high. And so I find Hussain in every person who against injustice is willing to die. I find Hussain in every person who in the face of injustice is ready to rise. Because you see, Hussain taught us what could be done with a soul that is liberated and free, to bring change in the world on whatever scale it may be. Because Karbala's message is for everyone. It is of justice and equality. It transcends the boundaries of language, race, or nationality, because it is a man like Hussain. It is a man like Hussain that will never bow down to a man like Yazid. Hussain stood up for all of humanity. All those centuries ago, he stood up for what was right in the face of wrong. And so today we stand with him proud and strong. We walk with Hussain for justice and for peace. We walk with Hussain for equality against ideas like police brutality, racial inequality, the incarceration of Zakzaki, this Bill 21 mentality. We walk with Hussain to bring to recognition the injustices that are craving our attention, the injustices that are in the shallow graves in Yemen, the reserves of the Indians, the American school shootings, the silent oppression in the Kashmiri regions, this oppressive global consumption. We walk with Hussain as we would have centuries past, for we walk for the same cause as his last. Today we walk with and for Hussain fought and he died for us. So yes, I find Hussain in every person who against injustice is willing to rise. I find Hussain in every humanity does arise. I find Hussain in each and every single one of us. A Hussain with his head still held up high. Thank you.
With the passing away of the Prophet Muhammad, the practices of the religion deviated from the true teachings of Islam. 2 decades later, at the time of Imam Hussain, the Umayyad clan came into power and made a mockery of justice as unjust measures were used against the perceived enemies of the regime. There was no safety or security of life and property, especially for the devotees of the progeny of the Prophet. Thousands of them were killed and others were robbed of their means of livelihood. The Umayyad goals was to use the cover of Islam to mispresent the religion and restore their pre-Islamic values and privileges. That's when it was the duty of Imam Hussain to respond to the Holy Quran's call to action on behalf of the Muslim society as a whole. He had to restore the values of the religion as perceived by his grandfather. However, Imam Hussain did not have the power to fight him militarily. He didn't have an army to support him. He was all alone with no significant base of support. The ignorance after the Prophet Muhammad's time was darker and scarier than the ignorance even before Islam. Giving lectures, trying to re-educate the people would no longer work, as deviations extended beyond a few individuals, permeated into the society. The Imam had to choose a dramatic action to reawaken the people. That's when he had to give the ultimate sacrifice in history of mankind. Him and all his family members and companions went to Karbala knowing that they will be murdered. They were brutally killed and beheaded, even his 6-month-old baby, after being deprived from food and water for 3 days. He wanted to show the world that brutality of the regime of Yazid and Umayyads. This was his way to reawaken the community and uprise against the Yazid. He died on the battlefield, but he won the ultimate war. It was shortly after that that the Umayyads were overthrown. We're marching today, and we gather today here to mourn Imam Hussain, but also to commemorate Imam Hussain as a symbol of living life for a greater purpose, and then standing for that purpose, and then sacrificing everything we have for that purpose. Imam Hussain is as a symbol of true activism and resistance for people. His martyrdom is one of the most revolutionary movements in the history of humanity because it was unique in many ways. First, it was selfless. It was unlike any other movement. Imam Hussain did not want to gain anything for himself or his family. He said, "Oh Allah, you know I'm not in a competition to seek power, nor to gain or fuse of the world, but nothing other than to present the signs of and the essence of your religion and to promote reform in your land so that the oppressed members of your servants finally find safety, security in a land where your laws and orders and obligations are accepted." This was the goal of Imam Hussain. Imam Hussain knew that he had no chance. He said to die with dignity is better than to live in humiliation. He told his companions that he will be murdered, and those who were there after a worldly gain left him. He sacrificed for the sake of saving humanity from darkness. Yes, humanity, not just Muslims. The Umayyad's power was growing, and if no one had stood up for him, the tyrant Yazid, the whole world would have suffered. Secondly, Imam Hussain made the ultimate sacrifice in the history of mankind. He knew he was going to die, but yet he took all his family members and sacrificed everything he had. After his martyrdom, the tents of his children and kids were all burned. So they fled from one tent to another tent. Some were lost in the desert. Some were burned by these fires. They were beaten and guided like sheep in the hot deserts for days. He sacrificed it all to help for the cause of Allah. Thirdly, his movement included everyone. It was an inclusive movement. It was not restricted to a specific tribe, people, group, or religion, or region. His army, despite the small number, included people of different backgrounds. He had the rich and the slave, people of different nationalities. He even had Christians who came to support his cause. He also accepted his enemies when they came and asked for forgiveness. Despite all they did, he still accepted them. Actually, 30% of Imam Hussein's army were people who repented and fought alongside with the Imam until he died. Last but not least, he showed best leadership in his battle. He was full of strength, courage, and determination, but yet he showed utmost respect and love to everyone, even his enemies. Despite all the hardships, he was very compassionate with his family members and companions. He always encouraged them and comforted them. One of his companions was a slave called John. He fell in the battlefield, and Imam Hussain went to him and put his cheeks on John's cheek and carried him to the tent. John said, "Who am I that the grandson of the Prophet would put his cheeks on mine?" He also gave water to his enemies only a few days before they deprived him from it. He was even crying on the day of Ashura. When he was asked, "Why are you crying? Are you fearing death?" He replied that he was crying for his enemies. He said, "I'm crying because I feel sad for these people entering the hellfire for killing me." Yes, this is Imam Hussain. This is the message of the Imam, and this is the great leader of all times. For these reasons, Imam Hussain is considered a symbol of true activism and resistance for people. His movement and sacrifice is unique in the history of mankind and much relevant in the light of today's society of individualism and disconnectedness. That's why the 10th of Muharram, the day of the martyrdom of Imam Hussain, the day of Ashura, must be declared an international day of justice and freedom. It should remind the world that tyranny must be challenged, abuse of power must be questioned, forcing people to submit to political authorities must be responded. This will bring meaning to the sacrifice of the great Imam, to all people of all faith. This is Imam Hussain, and that's why we will keep calling him, "Yes, O Master Hussain. Labbayka ya Hussain, Labbayka ya Hussain." Peace be upon Hussain, his family, and his companions. Thank you. Salawat.
Muhammad. Thank you, Sister Iman, for those riveting words about Karbala. I truly took myself back there. And I have noticed that, as you said, Imam Hussain is not only for just one region, religion, or group of people. He is for all of mankind. Hussein's message is global and reaches beyond any region.
I would now like to request Sheikh Abdul Jalil to please come on stage and share his wisdom about the movement of Karbala. Sheikh Jalil has completed a master's from Qom. He has come from London and to recite Majlis-e Muharram at Aza-e Islamic Center in Richmond. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sheikh Jalil with a loud salawat.
All right, unfortunately, Sheikh Jalil is not here. I would now like to call upon Sheikh Syed Saleh Kazwini, who's a graduate from Qom and a graduate from the University of Michigan, where he completed a master's degree from Wayne State University. He currently lectures in multiple mosques around Michigan and teaches course on Islamic ideology. Sheikh Saleh is currently reciting Majlis during the 10 days of Muharram at Muslim Youth in Motion, MYM. Please welcome him with a loud salawat.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful, the Lord of...
I would also like to thank all the speakers once again and thank you for your participation in this solemn procession. Mutawajjih ziyarat.
सलामी करबला को जब चले हजरत मदीने से बहुत रोए लगा कर फातिमा सुगरा को सीने से पुकारे अलविदा ऐ फातिमा सुगरा खुदा हाफिज